A 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Life is a journey, and the Doherty Family College will help you get where you want to go. Located downtown Minneapolis, this affordable 2-year college provides free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, one-on-one mentorship, and a Metro Transit pass, making DFC the perfect pathway to a bachelor's degree. Turn your dreams into reality. Connect with a counselor today at dfc.stthomas.edu.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me one. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for rain overnight with a low around 59, Tuesday sunny with a high near 72, and Wednesday sunny with a high around 73. And on Tuesday, Nightingale in Minneapolis will have an embarrassment of tomatoes. Join them for their 9th annual tomato dinner. It will feature special dishes with wine pairings from Bourget Imports. That's Tuesday at 7 p.m. at Nightingale off 26th and Lyndale in Minneapolis. Tickets and details at nightingalempls.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, he cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Hello, welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host today, Wendy Pilot. Robert is working on important Ho-Chunk Nation matters, but he'll be back tomorrow. On Native Roots Radio, I'm Awake, we discuss national and Twin Cities Native American news and events. And as we all know, Native American issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. And this portion of the show is brought to you by the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 Hotline. You can call them at 651-304-9986. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for all your COVID-19 questions. On today's show, we're going to have Ogimaa Giniw Ikwe with the news as usual. Lewis Eagle Thunder bringing us some information. And then Ogimaa is going to be interviewing Madison Hand. And Madison is a young woman, and she is from the Phalen Creek Project. But before we get into all that, we're going to go to Ogimaa with the news. So welcome, Ogimaa.
Hi, Anin Buju, everybody. I'm Ogimaa Giniw Ikwe. I'm an enrolled member of the Red Lake Nation in northern Minnesota, and I bring you news and events here on Native Roots Radio. The first event that I wanted to give today was an event that's actually probably more for allies, although it could be for our relatives who have, maybe been a little bit disconnected from their culture. But the event is put on by Humanities of North Dakota, and it's tomorrow from 7 to 8 p.m. It's called Everything You Wanted to Know About Indians But Were Afraid to Ask. So Dr. Anton Truyer, who wrote the book with the same title, Everything You Wanted to Know About Indians But Were Afraid to Ask, is an Ojibwe scholar and cultural preservationist who teaches at Bemidji State University. And what he's going to do is to give frank and matter-of-fact responses to over 120 questions, which are both thoughtful and outrageous kind of questions. What's the real story of Thanksgiving? Why are tribal languages important? What did you think about that incident where people died in a sweat lodge? Those kinds of questions. White and Indian relations are often characterized by guilt and anger, and this event is to build a foundation for true understanding and have positive action. You can register for the free online event by going to www.humanitiesnd.org, and you'll see it under their free online events. And then they will be moderated by Dr. Leander, also known as Russ McDonald, who is a PhD and a member of the Spirit Lake Dakota Nation. And he served as president of the United Tribes Technical College for 4 years. So he's going to be moderating the questions that are coming through. And I think that sounds like a really interesting event. Doesn't it, Wendy?
Yeah, and it does. And I'm glad that they're still having online events. I know a lot of people are still, a little leery about going into indoor places around a lot of other people. So yeah, that's fantastic. And I think they can reach a large, really group of people. And for the allies, that's awesome. I think everybody needs to know the true Thanksgiving story.
Right. So another exciting event that's coming up here in October is the American Indian Community Housing Organization has partnered with the Fond du Lac Tribal and Community College, and they are virtually hosting the U.S. Poet Laureate Joy Harjo, who's from the Muscogee Nation, and that will be Monday, October 18th. The event is free and open to the public. You can find out more information on the American Indian Community Housing Organization page, or AICHO, AICHO, at aicho.org. The Fond du Lac Tribal Community College at fdltc.edu, or look for the Facebook event. It's called Bringing Joy. And that's another one that I'm really excited about. I really enjoy poetry. Joy Harjo is amazing, and her work is really bringing a lot of positive publicity to Native people. Speaking of publicity to Native people, Lorenzo Cerna from Indian Collective was live today in Pierre, South Dakota. Do you remember, Wendy or Louis, why people may have been marching in South Dakota today?
Louis, do you know? I don't know.
Is this the land back? Is this MMIW bill or Nick Tilson maybe?
It's actually, so it was called the Oceti-Sakowin. Did I say it right?
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, the Oceti-Sakowin. Yeah.
Oceti-Sakowin. Okay.
You got it. Perfect.
And what it is it was an action in opposition of Governor Kristi Noem and the South Dakota Department of Education's newly proposed social studies standards, which contribute to the perpetuated erasure of Indigenous history and perspective. And this is coming from Lorenzo Cerna's live feed today with Indian Collective. So the march was being led by the Indian Collective's Education Equity team in partnership with the South Dakota Education Equity Coalition. And they went past the state capitol and ended at a place called Hilger's Gulch, which is located in front of the Department of Education's building for South Dakota. So there is a rally at about 2 p.m. And they heard from a lot of speakers from those two equity teams that I talked about. And they had 5 demands. So the 5 demands were to make Ocheti Sakoin essential understandings and standards inclusive within the state standards, to move the Office of Indian Education back under the Department of Education, to honor South Dakota law and the Every Student Succeeds Act with regard to tribal consultation for the inclusion of tribal chairmen and education departments in state decision making impacting education, to hold study sessions to enable opportunities for schools to choice study specific Indigenous education. And then the 5th was revealed at the event, but I'll be honest, I did not catch the end of the live streams. So make sure you check out Indian Collective and Lorenzo Serna's page. They do great work, and there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on. They are kind of all over the board over there. It's really great. The last thing that I wanted to mention is a new partnership that Tesla, that Elon Musk made, has a kind of a one-of-a-kind partnership with a tribal nation right now. And this came from The Hill. Tesla opened up its first sales and service center in New Mexico this week. New Mexico has laws on the books that prohibit car makers from selling directly to customers without going through third-party dealerships. However, because of that, the laws prevented Tesla from establishing an official presence in New Mexico. But they found a way around that by partnering with the First Nation of Nambe Pueblo to open a facility inside a defunct casino on the tribal land, which is just north of Santa Fe, where the state law does not apply. The facility just opened last Thursday, and tribal leaders and state lawmakers who were in attendance did have praise for the deal. But I think it's very interesting that Elon Musk and Tesla found that loophole to bring some economy to a tribal nation in the southern areas.
That's awesome.
The cat had something to say about it.
I was going to say, hi, Lucy.
Well, Robert's in a meeting in the other room, and I'm like, I have everybody in here with me because.
Yep. And then actually up next, we're going to have, it looks like Maggie and Madison Hand coming on to talk about the Lower Phalen Creek Fall Fundraiser, which is coming up this Thursday. So you're going to want to stay tuned and find out how you can support this awesome group.
Yeah, definitely. We have about 1 minute left here. So
awesome. It's really important what Ogimaa was talking about with that news of the Ocheti Sakoin with the Education Council. Education is important for our young ones, especially speaking the truth. Thank you, Ogimaa, for highlighting that. It's beautiful.
And I just want to say something on that note, Lewis. When I go on my Facebook around Thanksgiving time and I see young children, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and some are dressed up as Indians and some are dressed up as pilgrims, it kind of really makes my skin crawl, and it's really upsetting to me. But I see it over and over and over again, and we really need to teach children the true truth of what happened, and that they should not be dressing that way.
Absolutely.
I agree. Yep.
We'll be right back. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. Stay tuned. Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio. I'm Awake, and I'm your host today, Wendy Pilot. Robert is off today, but he will be back tomorrow. This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice. And we have Ogimaa up here. She's going to be doing a really special interview with two women. We have Maggie Lorenz and her daughter, Madison Hand, from the Phalen Creek Project. So go ahead, Ogimaa.
Hey, bonjour, everybody. We have some relatives here who work with the Lower Phalen Creek Project, which is in, I believe, St. Paul. Am I right on that one, Maggie? And what they do is it's a land recovery project, and it's absolutely amazing the work that they've been putting in. And what they have coming up this week is their fall fundraiser. And we wanted to have them on the show today to talk a little bit about the fall fundraiser and what people can expect, because it's virtual again this year, right, Maggie?
Yeah, thanks for having us on, and good to see you guys. So again, my name is Maggie Lorenz. I'm the executive director for Lower Phalen Creek Project. I'm here with my daughter, Madison Hand, who is our newest youth intern at Lower Phalen Creek. So yeah, we're a Native-led environmental nonprofit here on the east side of St. Paul. We do a lot of our work in the public green spaces that in our area do contain or are home to, I guess, several culturally significant sites, burial mounds, sacred sites, and village sites. So our work is really to, partner with the city and other land managing agencies to help ensure that those spaces are managed in an appropriate way, and that we're doing that land back work that you were talking about, Ogimaa, and reclaiming our place as stewards of these lands. So we do have our fall fundraiser coming up this Thursday, which will be all virtual. And so we actually have a really good program. We have my daughter here, Madison, who's going to be talking about her experiences as a volunteer with the organization. And then we're going to have a great panel with some of our organizational leadership to talk about what our organization recently went through, because the organization itself was founded about 20 years ago as just I don't want to say just a run-of-the-mill kind of like friends of organization, but it was definitely not a Native-led or BIPOC-led organization. And so the transition that the organization went through, the why, the how, of how we became a Native-led nonprofit. We're going to talk a little bit about that with our organizational leadership at the event. We're also going to have a really cool panel of folks talking about the land back movement. So folks in the Twin Cities here might know Dr. Kate Bean and her family, Sid Bean, Carly Bad Heart Bull, who led the work to restore the Bede-Makoska name at what was formerly Lake Calhoun in Minneapolis. So she's going to be with us and talking a little bit about the importance of name restoration work. The president from the Lower Sioux Indian community, Robert Larson, will be on to talk about the land transfer that recently happened for his community, transferring land back from the state of Minnesota to the tribe. And why that transfer of actual land ownership is really important as part of the land back movement. And then we'll have an ally, a white ally, on that panel as well, talking about how folks who aren't decision makers at the state level or county level, aren't land managing agencies, maybe you're not a Native person, but how you can get involved in the land back movement and support that work. So it's just going to be a really great event, a lot of really great speakers, and we would just love to share with anybody who's interested in this kind of work some of the things that we're doing, and hopefully get some more supporters, power our work into the next 10 years as an organization doing this work on the east side of St. Paul, or Iminijaska is the traditional historic Dakota name for this part of Turtle Island. So that's what we're doing. And I don't know, Madison, do you want to talk a little bit about being a volunteer with Lower Phalen Creek and some of the things that you've done?
Yeah, so throughout the last year, some of the projects that I've helped with or helped volunteer with is one of them was going down into sanctuary and removing thistle, which is an invasive species, what is not supposed to be there. And also I've helped with some of the recordings for their website for some of the sacred sites here in St. Paul. And I'm currently working on a mural with Lower Phalen Creek Project and Clues, and it's about the Mexicans who lived in Sweet Hollow Park, and we're trying to connect the two stories together and create this mural, which I'm really excited about, and yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool project. Sweet Hollow Park is park on the east side of St. Paul that it was formerly residents. I mean, a lot of people lived in the hollow because there was a creek that ran through there that had fresh water, and so a lot of immigrant communities would make their homes in that particular area. Of course, prior to immigrant communities, Dakota people lived in the area and took care of that land, but then were displaced. And then so we had a lot of immigrants come from the Swedish community, Irish community, Italians moved into the hollow, and then were able to build that generational wealth and move out of the hollow and build homes and build their wealth, from that foundation that they were able to start from in Sweet Hollow or in the hollow there. And then interestingly, when the Mexican immigrants came in the 1950s and tried to do kind of that same model, building a life as new immigrants in the hollow, building up that family and generational wealth, they were displaced from the hollow. The hollow was condemned, their homes were burned to the ground, and they were forced and displaced. And so they weren't able to build that wealth like other immigrant communities. And so we're kind of this project that we're doing with Latinx nonprofit organization called Clues on the east side. The youth are working to kind of uncover and reveal that story to the community about brown displacement on the east side from our homelands and as immigrant communities, how we haven't really been afforded that opportunity to build that generational wealth like other communities have.
Wow, that's amazing. I had no idea that any of that had happened in that vicinity. And that's amazing that Lower Phalen Creek Project is working to tie in not only Native history, but the history of the area as a whole, and how other people, our relatives from other nations, had come and hoped to build a better life here and had essentially been prevented from doing so the same way that Native people were, or maybe not the same way, but it's the same end result, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we see a lot of that still today, even in 2021, and it's really important to bring it back to that history to understand how those things happened. So I want to take a minute here and make sure that we highlight what is happening with this event. So the event is actually called Keeping Up with the Creek. It's this Thursday, September 16th from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Central Time. It's going to be on Facebook Live and YouTube for Lower Phalen Creek Project, which you can find online. It's Lower Phalen with a PH. And then it's also going to be live on Native Roots Radio's Facebook and YouTube as well. And I believe our Twitter, as we really enjoy and support the work that you do at Lower Phalen Creek Project. And It's just beautiful down there. I know we were working a little bit. Robert has seen the area, and we were working a little bit with you, working with this event. And, the footage for the video for this event is just going to be stunning. The land in the area is beautiful, and we know that.
I just want to jump in. Sorry, Ogimaa, I just want to jump in real quick. I grew up on the east side as well, and I remember Warner Road over there with all the train noises and all that other stuff. And I actually wanted to ask Madison, because I'm a product of Indian education on the east side, an older generation, Gen Xer. I wanted to ask you, Madison, how is it important to be involved in these type of projects as a youth? Like, how has it changed you in a way? How do you feel about getting involved in these type of land back type of movements as a young person? How is that important to you? Why is it important?
Well, these are our traditional Dakota homelands, and so being living right in the middle of it is really cool. And so growing up, I know a lot of my mom and dad generation, they didn't really get to grow up and have all these different opportunities to get involved in the community. But for the youth my age, we have a lot of opportunities to help get involved, and it's just really cool to be able to be a part of it and to for example, go to the sanctuary and help clean up for a little bit, and just help take care of those areas and things, and just to be able to be a part of it and, take pride in who we are, because there's not a lot of us here. So it's just really nice to be able to have that for us, and hopefully to be able to have it again for future generations, and we'll be able to keep it going and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just think Madison's so awesome because her language skills are way beyond mine. And, I was just always telling her, we didn't have these opportunities to learn about our sacred sites when I was her age, to learn our language when I was her age. So I think that's just really, thanks, Lewis, for bringing that up, because I think it's just so cool that she's involved and that our youth can get involved in these kinds of things. I just feel like a total shift and a renaissance for our culture is happening. We're able to really start being more proactively engaging in these things and taking stewardship back.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Madison, quickly, how old are you?
I'm 15 years old.
15. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. This is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be back after this short break. Stay with us.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Hi, my name is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown, and I'd like to tell you why you should choose us for all your printing needs. While it's true Minuteman Press Uptown provides the highest quality printing services and graphic design, there's another important reason why you should choose us. We share your values. We believe our employees are a vital part of our success. At Minuteman Press Uptown, I set out to create jobs with a living wage and benefits. I believe in second chances for people who've made mistakes in the past. We're a proud union shop and would love to earn your business.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Frank and his team at Minuteman Press Uptown are AM 950's go-to for all printing and promotional needs. I was blown away by the knowledge and passion Minuteman Press Uptown had to help me grow my business. Even if you're not sure where to start, their graphic design team can create an effective campaign and strategy to increase your visibility. So choose a print shop who shares your values. They work with businesses, nonprofits, and political campaigns. Call 612-870-0777 or visit mpuptown.com. This is Chad, owner of AM 950. After the hailstorm last year, we had a number of people stop by the station, letting us know we had damage. That's when I called our trusted contractor, Snap Construction. Turns out we didn't have any damage, and our roof was still in good health. Ryan, is it common to hear you have damage when you don't?
Chad, this can happen more times than not. At Snap Construction, we'll give you a thorough assessment and let you know the condition of your roof. We are trusted by a number of insurance agents in the metro to give them just that, an honest assessment. Last year's storm is just starting to reveal damage on homes that didn't show damage last year. If you were in the path of a storm and were denied, it's worth an extra look. freezing, thawing conditions and spring rains will wash away the damaged granules that are covering up damage from last year's storm.
Call Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor in the metro area, at 612-333-SNAP, or find them online at snapconstruction.com.
You've heard the screamers, you've heard the shouters. Well, now it's time to listen to a real conversation. Now it's time for the Rick Unger Show.
Weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on AM 950.
My name is Greg Bakken, and on my show, Ghostbox Radio, every week we'll have conversations about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, or just the unusual. This week we see the return of psychic medium tarot card reader Ane. Ane will be on to give one-question readings on the air for those who would like questions answered about finances, employment, or love. Ane loves to help others with her psychic gift. Join me every Sunday at 4 p.m. for Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken on AM 950, even if you're a skeptic.
If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for rain overnight with a low around 59, Tuesday sunny with a high near 72, and Wednesday sunny with a high around 73. And on Tuesday, Nightingale in Minneapolis will have an embarrassment of tomatoes. Join them for their 9th annual tomato dinner. It will feature special dishes with wine pairings from Bourget Imports. That's Tuesday at 7 p.m. at Nightingale off 26th and Lyndale in Minneapolis. Tickets and details at nightingalempls.com.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I am your host today, Hanajihihani. That means cares for them. And we are here today talking with Ogimaa, and we're talking with Maggie Lorenz and Madison Hand from the Phalen Creek Project. And this portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition. Welcome back, Maggie and Mattie. How you guys doing?
We're good, and don't worry about it. I somehow mess up her name and my name too. I sometimes call her Maggie, and I'm Maggie, and so don't
Maggie and Madison, and Maggie and Mattie also, right? Mattie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So, before we get too much more information into the conversation here, I want to make sure that everybody knows. So this Thursday, the Lower Phalen Creek Project is having a fall fundraiser. You can donate and register for the fall fundraiser at lowerphalenCreek.org/fall-fundraiser-1. And Phalen is spelled with a PH, but the really exciting part here is that it looks like Lower Phalen Creek has been offered a challenge gift. So any donations that are received to Lower Phalen Creek between now and Thursday will be doubled up to $25,000, which is really, really exciting. And I wanted to make sure we get that on air so that those who are not watching us on Facebook and other social medias are able to take down a quick note and make sure to donate to you guys for the fall fundraiser. Maggie, excuse me. See, I just did it there. What are you most excited about for the fall fundraiser this year?
You know, I think just like expanding the circle of people who are in our community that are following our work, that are supporting what we do. Every year we have new people and invite their friends and family to attend and just learn more about our work. You know, I think that a lot of people know about some of the land back work that's happening like in Standing Rock or Hesapa or just different bear's ears and different larger, really important sacred sites throughout the country. And Kon Teepee is really no different than all of those efforts. This is a sacred site here in an urban area in St. Paul, Minnesota, and we're really working with the Native community here, the Dakota community and the tribes to try to bring some protections to that site, do some Native-led interpretation of that site so that people can interact with that place in a much more respectful way than they currently are. So that's the kind of work that we're doing. That's the kind of work that we're looking for support for. So if folks want to head to our website, register for our event and learn more about us, we would love to have you join on Thursday night.
I think one of the things, Maggie, that strikes me is that I remember growing up on the East Side, and there just was no reverence for sacred indigenous spaces when I was growing up. People would walk all over the mountains on the top, and I remember they had to close where the caves were. I don't know if everyone's familiar with that, where Warner Road is. They had to close that off because people would go down there, they would party and stuff. So what I really am so jazzed about this whole program is that geez, aren't I Gen Xer? Holy moly. What I'm really excited about this whole program is that it's bringing back that sacredness that, we are not reclaiming our spaces. We are ensuring that they stay sacred for the next generation and kind of instilling that in our children. Maggie, in your experience growing up, in kind of experiencing the same type of things, isn't this just so energizing to see? You mentioned it last segment of us reclaiming it and having amazing people like Madison there that are energized and leading this type of organization. What do you think?
Yeah, so again, for those who are unfamiliar with the site that we're talking about, Kon Teepee is an ancient Dakota sacred cave site, and adjacent to and right next to, there's the interior of the cave, historical photo. Thanks for pulling that up. And right adjacent to the cave is a series of burial mounds. These mounds and this cave have both been desecrated by settlers and industry, and we are really doing everything that we can to reclaim and restore these sites and bring them back to as natural a state as possible. But you're right. When back in the 90s, what is now this nature sanctuary that Madison was talking about was an industrial site, a polluted, toxic industrial site that we've been able to restore. We've been able to reclaim that site, and now we're working to build a small and environmentally friendly interpretive center at that site so that we can help people better understand that this is not a throwaway place on the East Side. This is a sacred site, and we want to make sure that that the community understands that, and that we have partnering with the city to put some policies in place so that these sites are better managed, better maintained, with our cultural values and what these sites are at the heart.
Fantastic. I'm so excited and proud, and I have to, I live just north of the cities by a few hours, so I haven't actually seen the site of Lower Phalen Creek Project in person, and I think I'm going to have to go and just see it maybe this fall before winter kicks in. What's the best season for that area? Maggie and Mattie, what's your favorite season out there?
I like fall.
Yeah, I love every season to visit the site, but I really do like fall. Right now it's a lot of the goldenrods and asters, the late season kind of blooms are in full bloom right now, and it smells amazing when you go down there. And it's really nice, in the middle of this urban environment, to be able to go to a natural area. But then when you're down there, and we do guided site visits for different groups and Native youth and different people. But one of the things that people always say is they can really feel when they go down there, that sense of something bigger than you, and you can really feel that when you enter that site. And so, just because there's been a lot of destruction and vandalism and desecration to the site doesn't mean that power isn't still there. And so what we're really trying to do is just make sure that we're being good, relatives to this land and doing our our best to take care of this site.
I do have a question, Maggie. And I haven't been down there in a while, but Lakota Dakota people, we hold Pajuta Wakan, which is sacred medicine, right, in that area. And I'm wondering if you guys, Madison and Maggie, have been down there and actually seen it in the wild, like sweetgrass or sage down that area, different vegetation, it regrowing and the earth kind of renewing itself. I think that's a beautiful part of this project, is allowing Unchi Maka to heal, Mother Earth to heal in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. We do a lot of different restorations. So like Madison was saying, removal of some of those invasive species that try to come and take over the site. Madison was removing thistle, which she really doesn't like because it pokes you. But it's really important to do that because then it makes room for these native plants to grow. And we do have sage that's been reestablished now, prairie sage in the nature sanctuary. We do have chanshasha or red dogwood there now, and so we are reestablishing those medicine plants. And also, those plants, as much as they doctor us, they doctor the earth there. And there was a lot of destruction and pollution that happened to the land there, and so part of our work is reestablishing these native plants for not just our own medicinal use, but to doctor the earth and to also provide habitat for all of our relatives, our pollinator relatives, our four-legged relatives, our winged relatives. And so it's kind of like, we really do operate from our philosophy of Mitakuye. So we are all related, and we know that all of these things are connected.
Absolutely, they are. Absolutely. I just came to the point. Your husband's Barry Hand, if anyone doesn't know, and you and Maggie and Mattie, so it'd be Barry M&M. It would be a good acronym to call you guys. But no, all you guys. What's amazing about your family? I just want to uplift you guys here. Is you guys are all activists. You guys are all part of our community, and it's families like you that make a difference for other Indigenous children and other Indigenous youth. I remember growing up and not knowing that many Indigenous people at like Harding or Battle Creek Middle School and all these other places that I went. And now it just must be fantastic to have that connection and have those relatives that they can talk about these specific issues with. It's just great. So thank you and your whole family for everything that you guys do.
Oh, thank you so much. And I just love your beautiful family too. And it was great running into you guys at the powwow this weekend and seeing your son. It's been a while and he's just getting so tall. So it's really beautiful. Not only the work that we're doing to help restore the land, but help connect Native people to each other, I think is so important, and rebuild that strength in our community here in the urban area too. So thank you. It's been really great getting to know you and your family.
And I want to give a shout out to Louis, his wife, Amanda, and his son did the potato dance at the powwow, which is really unbelievable because Robert and I have tried it a couple of times and like we go out in the first like 2 minutes. So
yeah, half of it was trying to social distance from other potato participants. So it's like 10 feet away from other potato people while doing the potato. It was crazy. We got to keep the potato too. Heck, go to a powwow, keep a potato.
Yeah, and it's all greased up there from all the foreheads, and it's great. Put it right on the frying pan.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so funny. Robert, go ahead. Go ahead, Ogimaa.
Oh, I was just going to say, I just want to circle back and let everybody know again that we're with Maggie Lorenz and Madison Hand of the Lower Phalen Creek Project. You should definitely check them out on social media or go to their website at lowerphalencreek.org and make sure that you donate while they have this match through next Thursday. Just telling you all, it's a great place to spend your money if you believe in land back.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah, thank you.
lowerphalencreek.org for more information. Also on your Facebook as well.
Thank you. And I'm just going to bring up that quick story about what Robert used to say when he was a kid. He used to tell his students, because he was a high school teacher, that when he was a kid, his parents didn't have any money, and it was really, really cold out, so he didn't have any mittens. So they gave him a hot potato to hold in his hands on his way to school. And then he had to eat the potato for lunch. So that was Robert's story that he tells everybody when he was a kid. It's a joke. It didn't really happen, but that's what he always says. But you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back. I think Louis Eagle Thunder is going to be talking with us, so stay with us.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
We are your relatives.
We are your relations.
Brothers,
sisters,
sons,
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Every time I laugh at that.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host today, Hanajihi Hani, which means cares for them, and I was given that name by my Dega Curtis. As always, Curtis, thank you very much. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. Awesome. Thank you for the wolves. I love it. I just want to say something before we talk to Lewis that, talking with Maggie today and about the Lower Phalen Creek project. Today was the first day in our front lawn. We're getting rid of our lawn. We killed it. We put tarps down, and I had the tarps down for about a month. So now all the grass is just dead, and it's like hay. But today we started building, not me personally, I'm helping very, very little, but we have Kaylee with us, and she is building a rain garden, and she's planting all native plants to Minnesota. And we have some sage going in, some sweet grass from some flat cedar. We also have a lot of old wood that's kind of rotting, and I was just going to throw it away, but she was like, no, we need to put that in the ground because it has so many nutrients that the plants need. And so she made, it's called a stumpery. So we have all these old logs, and she calls, I don't know if that's the real word for it, but she calls it a stumpery. But I'm really excited because it's going to attract bees and butterflies and all the pollinators that we need. And she also said that some of the plants that she's planting, and from the water and the rain garden, we might even get little frogs. So I'm really, really excited about it. And so hopefully tomorrow it's going to be finished. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So Lewis, you were going to finish up the show for us today, or are we going to just chit chat?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just got kind of a bit of news here, and I first want to say first and foremost that it's so amazing to have Native Roots Radio. For those tuning in for the first time, or you've kind of been coming back, I want to thank you for all you listening to us, hearing us, Indigenous people. talking about our issues is so important. We're not really representing mainstream media. That's why Native Roots Radio is so important. So thank you to our contributors are on Patreon, as well as everyone else that has supported the show. And one of the things that I like to highlight, just as an Indigenous person, that we really don't see a lot in the news is MMIW, Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women. And as we know, Ogimaa does such a wonderful job being a Red Lake Nation herself. Red Laker, that's such a thing to say, but yeah, Red Lake Nation citizen, I should say, is highlighting line 3 and why it's important, why sovereignty matters. And we talk about this the first couple of minutes. You'll hear Ogimaa talk about it, but we're attacked on all sides. MMIW is also a big issue, I think, that we have ongoing. And when we think about the connection between the two, between line 3, the oil pipelines, these man camps, which are really known for human trafficking, which have been big part of our human trafficking experience, especially with targeting Indigenous women. And I just wanted to highlight both of those, say, hey, we got a lot of people on the front lines of all these different activities and activist centers that we hold sacred in Indigenous spaces, and highlight them and say, you know what, we hear you, we see you, and part of our job is to highlight all of it. And part of my job here too, as well, is to highlight things like the MMIW Bike Run USA 2021. And this basically is a group of people that are trying to highlight the 18,609 women and children, Native Americans, are currently missing in the United States. 18,609. Think of all those people. That is daughters, aunts, sisters, brothers, sisters, all these people. And, they don't get enough news attention. So, organizations like MMIW Bike Run USA 2021 is so important. They started at Washington State Capitol Building in July 18th, and they're going all the way to the East Coast. And they recently were in my people's area, the Lakota Oyate. They were on Rosebud. And what they did is that they were able to highlight a lot of MMIW stories that just media just doesn't cover. And it was just so good to see them out there. And, it basically was a run from one side of the reservation to the other side of the reservation. And, these are suffered by Indigenous women at higher rates than any other race of people. In fact, 1 in 3 Indigenous women across Turtle Island will suffer a violent attack at least once in her life. This was spread by the Oglala Lakota Nation last week. Their hashtag is MMIW Biker Run USA 2021. I know that's a little long. That's MMIW Biker Run USA 2021. And they trekked across Rosebud, and it was on September 4th at the western end of the reservation near Todd County, which is big. And if for anyone that knows, I've highlighted before, there's a missing and murdered Indigenous women epidemic happening in South Dakota. And Kristi Noem, who's our governor of South Dakota, has literally done nothing about it. In fact, I want to shout out to Perry Poirier, who is a Pine Ridger, and she's also involved with the MMIW bill that went forward, HR 1199. And what that did is it created a full-time position liaison in the State Department, in the local State Department, that allowed them to focus on MMIW. And that is just amazing to have that type of activist. But again, it takes Indigenous people and our allies to highlight these type of stories, to highlight getting the word out there for MMIW. And what this run did is basically go from, place to place and highlight not only the names of these, relatives that were lost, but just highlight the issue in general and trying to get some media attention as well. And, this is accompanied by a white RV. It's kind of an older RV with the names of missing or murdered Indigenous people written in red along the vehicle's sides in black. 2 eagle feather staffs are part of the MMIW journey. The Rosebud runners, in this case, carried eagle feathers from the staff during their time on the road. Quote, during this run, I handed an eagle feather and was told to touch the staff hanging on the back of the RV, said Delmar Forgets Nothing, a Sicangu Lakota Indigenous runner. Once I touched the staff, I heard an eagle screaming. That was amazing. It was hosted on the Rosebud by the Run for People. It's the Oyate Ki Iyanka, which is Run for People in Lakota. And I just wanted to take some time, Wendy and Ogimaa, to talk a little bit and highlight and uplift these people that are, kind of battling a big issue in MMIW. And as you know, Ogimaa, it affects us all.
Absolutely. I remember the first time I heard that statistic, that 1 in 3, and I think at the time that I heard it, I was told it was 1 in 4 Native women were going to experience some sort of violent attack, and that I was 3 times more likely as a Native woman to be abducted or human trafficked than any other group in the United States. And I remember at the time, MMIW was not big. And I remember living with that fear for a very long time, probably a good 3 or 4 years, like letting my friends know, like if I ever go missing, I did not choose to go missing. And when MMIW and are missing and murdered Indigenous relatives as well, we have men that are missing from our communities as well, and they don't get looked for in the same way that the women and children don't. But that this whole movement has brought me in a lot of ways a sense of peace and power with this, that that I have support, that there's people that would come looking for me if something were to happen to me or to my daughter, and to my relatives. So I think it's really important that we keep talking about this, Lewis, and I thank you for bringing it up again. We need to bring it up all the time, and remember also our children from the boarding schools, the original missing and murdered children. 6,509, is that the number that I heard last, Lewis?
That's right. Yeah, over 1,000 in the United States so far.
Yeah, and they haven't even checked but a half a dozen schools in the United States. So we have more of those prayers and coming homes coming up here too. And Wendy, we'll probably pass it off to you here. It looks like we're about ready to wrap up the show for the evening. Thank you so much for hosting.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Great job, Wendy.
Woo-hoo. Yeah, thank you, Ogimaa Giniw Ikwe. Thank you, Louis Eagle Thunder, Maggie Lorenz, and Madison Hand. I'd like to end with these thoughts. If you were listening to this show, you are the resistance. We need to resist, divest, join a group, and run for office. Free Leonard Peltier. Stop line 3. Please get vaccinated. We'll be back tomorrow.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a